one of the legislative session, which means our Sounds of Session podcast is back. I'm Mary Beth Derrickson. I serve as Director of Government Relations here at Lobby. And we have a very special guest here, Representative Emily Chenevert. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I absolutely love this. This will be a good conversation.
Yeah. And we also have Shelby Dunbar, Lobby's Director of Government Relations, focusing specifically on civil justice. So we wanted to bring these two experts in to talk about all kinds of things happening in session, specifically the cost of insurance. Lobby's three buckets this year that we really care about: obviously rising insurance costs, strengthening the cradle to career pipeline, and focusing on workforce development, in creating an all of the above energy approach. So the first bucket is obviously insurance costs. And so, Rep. Chenevert, if you could talk about some wins we've made, some wins we've gotten over the past year, but it sounds like there's still a lot of work to do.
Yes, there is. But I really want to talk about and just give just kudos to my colleagues in the legislature of what we were able to do last session in dealing with some of the legal reform and to help with insurance costs. We had a package of bills. I know people that have been paying attention and know what's going on. A lot got through the process last year. One bill that I was able to carry was dealing with our fault laws and modified comparative fault. It was a big bill, I know, and looking at other states. For those listening, a lot of times there's a process. You look at state to state, and if, the same insurance companies, they're going to other states, why are they not here? So you're having to adjust some of those things. And attorneys are going to work in the confines of the law. And so it's our job to go fix some things that maybe are out of place. And so that was a big bill, I think, went to effect January. And talking to people, it feels as though like maybe that's something that can not just help the everyday automobile, person that has insurance, but also hopefully can also trickle down to commercial. I know that's a big deal with commercial insurance. The discussion now too is we did more than just that bill. We had a bunch of bills that are trying to hit that issue because our constituents are talking about that, and it deals with business. There's still a discussion on how we get more transparent medical billing. We've always talked about that. Is there a cap? Do we put a cap? There's a couple of bills that have been filed this year, and I think it's just it may not be a package this year of bills, but I think the most important thing is that we continue the conversation and constantly put bills in front of the legislature, and then we decide what is the will this year. What do they want to tackle? What do we want to do? And so for me, I've used this analogy before, and I say all the time, in a relationship where it's your marriage or your business, no one looks at it and says, hey, we've made some really good headway this year. We're going to revisit and do a date night in 2 years and see where we are, right? Says no couple. Because if you do, probably you may not even have a date in 2 years, right?
Absolutely.
And then in business, right, no one looks at their numbers and looks at how things are impacting their business and then say, we look really good this year. We're going to all kind of regroup and look at our financials in about 2 years and 2.5 years and see what else do we fix. You constantly tweak the things that matter to you. And I think that's where my focus is, that even if it doesn't get through the process, you're going to constantly have the conversation, just discuss it again and see what happens. So it's one of my bills this year. I'm bringing a bill back dealing with third-party litigation financing. And that bill, 83 votes off the House floor, a few questions, hoping it can get all the way through the process. But it's a big conversation.
And can you expand a little bit on that and why it is so critical to this conversation?
Yeah, so third-party litigation financing, for those, if you're not an attorney, or just saying, what is TPLF? And I'm going to say TPLF for the sake of the conversation, so I don't keep saying that long term, but it's basically exactly what it sounds like. It's it's a third party, it's someone else that's coming in and financing lawsuits, and can basically, with the hope of getting getting a return. Look, you're financing a lawsuit, whatever happens on the end, that the question is, do they have a stake in the case, right? We don't know that. These things are not fully disclosed. We're not sure. But my bill is not saying that you can't do it. My bill is not saying that you have to disclose it necessarily in a different way, to the jury. It's a consumer protection bill. So it's saying that if, let's say myself, if I'm hiring an attorney, and that attorney has a contract with a third-party litigation financer, that person could potentially, get money and profit off of my suit. All I'm saying is it should be disclosed to their client. That person at the table that is hiring an attorney, they should know who else is at the table. Who else could get a cut of what my lawsuit could bring? And I think it's fair. Again, I say a lot about common sense. And when I share that with people, that's simple, that if somebody else is financing lawsuits, they're investing in lawsuits, and somebody off the back of their client, they should know. I think I should know. I think anyone should know. So I'm having that conversation on the House floor already, and people are asking me anytime a bill drops. We all know everyone's like, "So tell me about this bill," and I'm like, "Same bill as last year, 83 votes. You supported it, and each of this year." So that's my hope. And look, this is something I'm finding out the more you go into the weeds of it. In talking with U.S. Chamber and talking with state chambers, looking at different states, it's not just something that we're trying to figure out in Louisiana. Across the country, we're recognizing that this is a problem. So that's why we're going to, keep that conversation going. And I want to share, too, when you think about the climate of Louisiana, we talk a lot about, I know Lobby talks a lot about that, right? The litigation climate in our state for business. And we're doing so much great work in every area. We're looking at LED, we're looking at all the business coming here, look at the opportunity with energy, all these things happening. But we've got to make sure that we keep making sure that the legal climate is fair and that we make sure that we're creating opportunities, yes, for business to come, but that they really are looking to us and saying, yeah, but what's your legal climate like? Are you still tweaking this? Is this an area? Because we all know in Louisiana that is something that is of great concern. And that's why we don't stop. And it's not attacking any certain industry, not the legal industry. It's just making it a fair and balanced approach so that businesses feel like they have a fair day in court. And some people have asked me, like, why is this bad? Why are financing lawsuits bad? And I'm like, well, it could extend lawsuits going on for longer. It could possibly make them become more expensive. We don't know, or third-party litigation financiers saying, oh, yeah, this is a good case. Are they influencing decision-making? I'm not accusing that they are. But when we don't know, we don't know what we don't know. And I think we're and the question is for Louisiana, like anything else that I bring or things that we're bringing to the table, is it good? Do we think it's good for Louisiana where we allow an industry that's profiting off of lawsuits? And I think that's a question that I like to ask myself. Is it good for Louisiana? And I think that we're trying to bring back the reins a little bit on some legal reform that I would say that I think it's hurting us more than it's helping us.
One thing that plaintiffs and claimants don't understand is there's nothing in this state currently that stops a third-party litigation financer from coming out with more money than the actual plaintiff themselves.
Right.
If I'm the person who was injured in the case, why should a third party who I might not even know exists receive more money than me from my own case,
Absolutely. Well, we don't want to take our foot off the gas. We really commend you for all of your work and really standing strong on a very, very hard issue. So we appreciate you. Just real quick, we only have a few more minutes left, but I just want to, if there's anything else this session that you're excited about, I know you have other bills you're working on, but give us just a little flavor for what else you're working on this session.
Man, I have about 10 bills. I may, we all can file a few more once session starts. I may have a couple in there. I'm excited to kind of jump into the workers' comp area. It's something that I talk to businesses, and they're saying, look, I think when I was running, I remember a businessman, and we were talking, he's like, we really need to work on workers' comp. And so, haven't done that the first 2 years, and working on, making sure that businesses have an opportunity to fight for what they believe is right. And when they feel like, there's something coming at them with a workers' comp claim, an issue, so their day in court. And so, again, to me, it goes back to what I hope to do is create a fair and balanced opportunity in the courts. It's not taking anyone's rights away to be able to, pursue something, but it's just a fair and balanced approach. So that's one thing that I'm looking forward to working on for sure this session.
Well, we are also excited about that, and we're going to have you back on to talk a workers' comp
For
with Lobby's very own Patrick Robinson.
Yep.
So, we look forward to that, and we really appreciate all of your hard work in the legislature, and happy first week of session.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.